Good morning, whispering jungle. The sun was just peeking over the tallest mango tree when a bright green parrot named Polly stretched her wings and yawned the biggest yawn you have ever heard. Today, Polly announced to absolutely nobody in particular, it's going to be a perfectly normal day. She had absolutely no idea how wonderfully, hilariously wrong she was about to be. Polly hopped around her nest, tidying up her collection of shiny bottle caps and singing her favorite morning song. She fluffed her purple scarf, checked her reflection in a dewdrop, and declared herself absolutely magnificent. Just as she reached for her breakfast mango, something sparkly on the edge of her nest caught her eye. A feather, but not just any feather. This one was glowing. Polly tilted her head left, then right. The feather shimmered with every color of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet, all swirling together like a tiny sunset trapped inside a feather. She poked it carefully with one claw. It was warm. She picked it up gently, and instantly all the flowers around her nest burst into brilliant rainbow colors. Polly gasped loudly. Polly nearly dropped the feather in surprise, then clutched it tight. "I've got to show Bongo," she squawked, leaping off the branch and gliding through the morning air. As she flew, little rainbow sparks drifted from the feather, turning every leaf and petal she passed a different dazzling color. A family of startled bluebirds suddenly found themselves bright pink and stared at each other in total confusion. Bongo was sitting outside his treehouse banging his tiny drum and eating a banana, his third banana of the morning, to be precise. He looked up just as Polly crash-landed right in front of him with a spectacular somersault. "Bongo!" she shrieked breathlessly. "Look what I found!" She thrust the glowing feather under his nose. Bongo's eyes went so wide they nearly popped off his face entirely. Bongo dropped his banana and grabbed the feather curiously. The moment he touched it, his treehouse turned a spectacular shade of neon purple. Both friends jumped back and screamed, then burst out laughing. "It changes things," Bongo hooted, waving it around. Two butterflies turned green and gold. A rock became bright red. Bongo's remaining bananas transformed into rainbow-striped bananas. He picked one up and took a huge bite. "We should tell Leela," said Polly, snatching the feather back. Bongo agreed, stuffing a rainbow banana into his pocket for later. The two friends skipped down the jungle path together, with Polly waving the feather as she talked, completely forgetting that it was recoloring everything around them. By the time they reached the sapphire pond, the entire path behind them was a wild explosion of every color imaginable. Leela the little elephant was at the sapphire pond, using her trunk to water her favorite lily pad garden. She hummed peacefully, enjoying the quiet morning. Then she heard the unmistakable sound of Bongo's drumming and Polly's squawking growing louder and louder. She sighed softly. "So much for peaceful," she said, though a small smile crept across her face, because secretly, she always loved when her friends arrived. Polly and Bongo tumbled breathlessly up to Leela and immediately shoved the glowing feather in her direction. Leela examined it carefully with her long trunk, turning it gently. "This is extraordinary," she said slowly. "I wonder where it came from." Right on cue, the feather pulsed with light, and the entire sapphire pond turned a brilliant shade of orange. All three friends stared at the now very much not sapphire pond in complete silence. Suddenly, a tiny yellow blur zipped in circles around all three friends, so fast it left a golden streak in the air. It was Zippy the hummingbird, talking at roughly the speed of a hurricane. "Polly Bongo Leela Orange Pond, what happened where DIDYOUGET that glowy thing ISIT magic CN I touch IT wait DO and LETM. touch IT what IS happening?" He buzzed without a single breath. The three friends blinked. "Hello, Zippy," said Leela calmly. Zippy finally hovered still. Well, as still as Zippy ever got. He zipped back and forth in a tiny square while the friends discussed the feather. "It changes the color of everything nearby," Leela observed. "But I also noticed something else," said Polly slowly. She stared at the feather and whispered, "Turn the pond blue again." The feather glowed, and the orange pond shimmered, sparkled, and rippled back to perfect sapphire blue. Everyone gasped. The friends erupted in cheers. The feather granted wishes. Whatever you said aloud while holding it came true. Bongo immediately grabbed it. "I wish for a giant pile of bananas," he declared. A mountain of bananas the size of a small house appeared instantly, burying Bongo completely. His muffled voice came from somewhere inside the pile. "This is the greatest day of my life." Leela carefully began moving bananas with her trunk. But then something unexpected happened. While the friends were busy digging Bongo out of his banana mountain, the feather slipped from Polly's grip and floated upward on a warm breeze. It drifted high above the jungle canopy, spinning slowly, trailing rainbow sparks in every direction. Below, the friends watched in horror as entire sections of the jungle began changing color: purple trees, pink rocks, yellow rivers, and orange clouds filling the sky. The jungle animals were going absolutely bananas. Well, more than Bongo usually did. A herd of zebras suddenly turned polka-dotted. A grumpy rhinoceros looked down to find himself bright turquoise and immediately sat down in disbelief. Colourful parrots did double takes at their new mismatched feathers. "We have to catch that feather," Polly shouted, leaping into the air and flapping as fast as she could. The great chase was on. Polly weaved and dodged through branches that were now the color of grape jelly. The feather bobbed just out of reach, as if it were playing a game. Every time Polly got close, a gust of wind nudged it higher. She lunged, missed. She dove, missed again. She accidentally flew beak first into a large purple leaf and tumbled backward into a bush full of now rainbow-spotted birds who squawked furiously at the interruption. The feather drifted with perfect aim toward the tallest tree in the jungle, Old Feathersworth's ancient oak tower. The wise old owl was inside having his 14th morning nap when the glowing feather sailed through his window and landed directly on his nose. Old Feathersworth woke with a tremendous hoo and tumbled off his favorite branch, landing upside down in his reading chair, spectacles completely askew. He stared at the feather crossly. Polly, Bongo, Leela, and Zippy all arrived at Old Feathersworth's tower at exactly the same moment from 4 different directions and crashed into each other in a spectacular tangled heap at the bottom. They untangled themselves and scrambled up the rope ladder. "Feathersworth, is the feather there?" Polly called urgently, a deeply unimpressed who echoed down from above. "I believe," said the old owl loudly, "that this unusual item belongs to someone here." The friends piled into Old Feathersworth's cozy study, knocking over 3 scrolls and 1 teacup in the process. The old owl sat in his armchair, holding the glowing feather at arm's length with 2 wing tips as if it was slightly offensive. "A rainbow wishing feather," he said in a very serious tone. "Extraordinarily rare. Falls from the great rainbow condor once every 100 years. Grants wishes, but only for 1 full day before its magic fades." Everyone went very quiet. Old Feathersworth adjusted his spectacles and cleared his throat importantly. "The feather," he said rhythmically, "grants what you say, but in a complicated way. Wish too big and things go haywire. Wish careless and you'll start a color fire. The jungle will stay multicolored forever unless the holder makes 1 final, selfless wish before the feather's glow disappears at sunset today." He pointed dramatically at the window. The sky was already turning afternoon gold. The friends tumbled back outside and looked at the jungle around them. It was honestly quite spectacular, but it wasn't right. The animals were confused. The river looked like a neon smoothie, and 3 very upset flamingos were now lime green and deeply unhappy about it. "We need to use the last wish wisely," said Leela firmly. "But what do we wish for?" asked Bongo, already thinking about bananas. "Not bananas," said Leela immediately. The 4 friends raced to the heart of the whispering jungle, a beautiful clearing with a magnificent ancient tree whose bark naturally swirled with gentle natural colors. Around them, every confused jungle animal had gathered. Zebras, elephants, parrots, monkeys, frogs, and even the grumpy turquoise rhinoceros, who was still very upset about his color situation. They all looked at Polly and the feather hopefully. Polly felt the weight of the moment and took a deep breath. The sky was turning deep orange and pink as sunset raced toward them. The feather's glow was fading at the edges. They were almost out of time. Bongo drummed a nervous little beat. Zippy zoomed in panic figure 8s. Leela placed her trunk gently on Polly's shoulder. "You found it," she said softly. "You decide." Polly closed her eyes, held the feather to her heart, and thought very carefully about what mattered most to everyone around her. Polly opened her eyes. They were bright and certain. She held up the feather and spoke in a clear, warm voice. I wish for every animal in our jungle to be exactly as they should be, and for our jungle to be the most beautiful it has ever been, in its own natural, wonderful way. The feather blazed with the most brilliant light anyone had ever seen, then dissolved into a million tiny sparkling stars that drifted gently across the entire jungle. And just like that, every color returned to its proper, perfect place. The zebras had their stripes back. The rhinoceros was his normal gray and immediately looked relieved. The river sparkled crystal clear, and the trees glowed with the warm green of 1,000 healthy leaves. But everything seemed somehow a little brighter, a little more alive. Polly, Bongo, Leela, and Zippy sat together under the ancient tree as the first stars appeared above them, smiling at their perfectly wonderful jungle home.